Welcome to SBME Interfaces. Our goal with this show is to introduce you to the people that interface with biomedical engineering, from students and faculty to staff and industry, and everyone in between. BME is a broad field that encompasses so many different perspectives, journeys, skill sets, and backgrounds, and we are excited to share them all with you.
So we're very excited today to be interfacing with James Olson. He's the Dean of Applied Science since 2017, Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Fellow of the Canadian Academy of Engineers. When he does find time to do research still, I don't know if he does, it's at the intersection of fluid mechanics, machine design, material science as applied to forest byproducts industry. He's a multiple award winner, including 2 NSERC Synergy Awards and the BC Lieutenant Governor's Innovation Award. So James, thank you once again for being here, and we look forward to learning a little bit more about you.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks, Brian.
All right, so I wanted to start with obviously these past 11 months, they have been unlike any in recent world memory. So what were some of the biggest challenges and surprises you encountered as a dean, and what have you learned?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the pandemic has certainly been an unprecedented challenge, right? I don't know if you know how rapidly we pivoted to online, but I remember very clearly it was a Friday around 6 p.m. when we were asked by the president to pivot all of our classes to online and remote away from campus starting Monday morning. And so there was a huge scramble to move all of the educational endeavor to online. And I can remember, people like Jim Sibley and his team giving dozens of workshops over the weekend to prepare, faculty in terms of technology and transitioning and all of that. And then on Sunday, of course, which I always refer to as 0 business days later, we were also told that all faculty and all research would also have to be remote. And so literally in a couple of days, we were all teaching, learning, working, and conducting research from home. And it was a remarkable transformation. But what I found maybe the most surprising was how positively we all responded to that crisis. Across students, staff, and faculty, I've seen people pull together, support each other as we faced this unprecedented, use too much, but really this tremendous challenge. And I think this has also spawned maybe the largest and most important discussion of pedagogy and course delivery that has ever happened in the history of the university amongst the students and the staff and the faculty. They've also pulled together to create multi-level safety plans. That was a tremendous amount of work by so many. I mean, literally everybody was pulling together to be able to get back to campus in a meaningful way, to be able to conduct meaningful research, to be able to do the things that we absolutely needed to do on campus to be meaningful, and to be able to do that with the highest regard for safety. And I think the other thing I've seen is that I'm not trying to paint a picture that it's been perfect, but what I have also seen is that students have really appreciated the amount of work and effort that's been put into remote delivery. And I've also seen how our instructors and professors have demonstrated and shown tremendous concern for our students. And I guess it just makes me reflect a little bit on, that you never really, or I guess that, through adversity, I think we get to know ourselves a bit better, and we certainly get to know those we work with better. And I've just never been more proud of of the people I work with and how we've been able to pull together to overcome this tremendous adversity.
For sure, and I must say it was refreshing, James, to get those emails from you early on in the pandemic where you would motivate us and push us, and so that was very, appreciate those. It was hard time for everybody, for sure. So you're BC born and bred, and you've been part of UBC for a long time. So what makes this institution as a whole and applied science a special place?
Well, okay, well, I should just so we're clear, I was actually born in Saskatchewan, so Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan is my hometown.
Okay.
But I grew up in Kamloops, and as of course you know, that I did my bachelor's degree in engineering physics here at UBC, and then I did a PhD in chemical engineering. So yeah, I'm certainly been here. I think I tried to add it up the other day. I think this is my 35th year since first biking onto campus, and so I've been here a tremendous time. I've seen a tremendous amount of change, and so and I would also say that my children have also been graduates of, well, not quite yet, but my son graduated from chemical engineering in 2017, and my daughter is currently in 4th year mechanical engineering. And so, you know,
engineering runs in the family.
Quite clearly,
yeah.
But you know that experience has given me a really interesting perspective. I've seen UBC from the eyes of being a student. I've seen it from the eyes of being a professor and kind of a producer of the stuff we do here. And I've also seen it, through the eyes of my children and as a parent and, kind of a consumer of the things that we do here. And, I think, through all those lenses, it makes me appreciate the university even more. I think it's a spectacular university. And the reason it's spectacular is really the people that we've been able to attract here. And I mean, I'm not telling anybody, we have the best and brightest students that come to UBC without a doubt, from all over the world. And we have the most amazing faculty that we've also been able to attract, literally the best and brightest from all over the world. And so, I think like every university, it's the people, but I think at UBC we're very fortunate to, have the quality and the reputation of the people we have here. It's really a special place.
That's interesting too, about how you you came up through UBC, and then you stepped out. You worked in industry for a little while, and then sort of came back to academia. What caused that change? What made you decide to come back to UBC or to academia?
Yeah, I worked in industry for about 5 years after I completed my PhD, and that just working in industry, I think really. I would say, shaped much of my own appreciation for how industry acts as an innovation, as an impactful innovation partner to universities. The company I worked with was a very strong partner with UBC, and I also got, I guess, an appreciation that for an engineer, industry is largely where change in practice happens, and so there's I think having that opportunity to work in industry and to partner with the university and to bring innovations into practice has really led me to have this very strong appreciation for how industry acts as an innovation partner. And that's really shaped a lot of my own perceptions of industry partnership. But I think it's, how did I come back to UBC? I'm not sure all the decisions was making there. There was, an opportunity to come to UBC. I have to say that that question does kind of remind me a little bit of when I was interviewing to take on an assistant professor position here. And I kind of remember, pulling aside one of the senior professors and, to kind of get his insight on, like, what's it really like to work here? Tell me the truth, right? And it looks great, but, tell me the truth. And he just, I kind of remember he kind of paused at that question. I don't think anybody had asked him that before. And he just, I think, after a moment of reflection, just said, it's been an honor and a privilege to work here at UBC for all the time I have. I always remember that. I carry that memory with me, and honestly just couldn't agree more with that, even after being here 22 years. So it's a great place to be.
Building up on your, because before you became dean, if I'm not mistaken, you were associate dean of research and industry. Excuse if I don't remember the correct term. And so, and you have that experience working there. How do we grow and expand the ecosystem, the industry ecosystem? I mean, I'm thinking of the BME lens, and we have great trainees, but how do we attract more companies and get companies excited to partner more with UBC and APSI and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I started, I have a pretty deep appreciation for industry as a real partner in not just innovation, but in growing economic development and prosperity, and as an avenue for real change within not just the local community, but really across the global community. And so, I think the question of how do you grow that is one. I think there's part of it is a communication story. I mean, we have fantastic resources here at this university for creating impactful innovation. We have, expertise in a wide, we're a comprehensive university. We're a comprehensive engineering school. We have expertise that spans, almost all endeavors of humanity and spans all endeavors of industry. And so part of that is getting the messaging out about our expertise. We also have tremendous infrastructure in terms of, really bringing unique infrastructure to bear on problems that are found in industry or can create solutions for industry. And I think, and so I think I think it part of that is just ensuring that there's a clear communication channel between industry and university. But I'm also a huge proponent of entrepreneurship and venture creation. And I hold those two a little bit separate. I often talk about entrepreneurship as creating an innovative spirit, I guess, within our students and staff and our faculty. You don't always have to be a hero founder to bring that sort of entrepreneurial spirit and that ability to innovate into the companies that you work on. And so I hold that a little bit different from venture creation. Venture creation is really the active sort of capacity building programs that we and resources that we put in place to take our ideas from the lab or from the minds of our students and into practice and into viable companies. And they're a little bit different, right? One's a little bit more tactical. And so I think that I'm a huge fan of growing that. 5 years ago, we had almost nothing in that area at UBC. Now we've got all sorts of programs and resources like Hatch, for example, to help support that kind of knowledge transfer, but it's really around economic development and jobs for our students. So I think those are the two main strategies that we've been
sure. And also in the recruitment of faculty that have the entrepreneurial spirit, as you mentioned, also will help us. And I see that more and more with our new recruits and across APSI as well.
Yeah, you mentioned too that on the communication side, which I think is deeply important, obviously, considering where I come from. You just went through what I would consider the most painstaking storytelling process there is, which is making a strategic plan, like literally telling your story for the next 5 years. First of all, how was that process, and what did it reveal to you about the faculty, about the possibilities for the future, your team, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, great. Thanks for asking. I don't really think of it as a painstaking process. I think of it as a very deep and rich community building process. And I greatly enjoyed that process. I'm particularly proud of the work of so many people who participated in it and what we were able to develop in terms of our strategic plan. I think that the plan really talks about who we are and who we want to be. At the heart of that plan are really our 6 strategies. Those six strategies, I guess the first 3, pardon me, let me retract that a little bit. At the heart of the plan are really 6 priority areas that we set ourselves. Those priorities, the first 3 of those priorities are really support our vision from the faculty, and the vision of the faculty is to create a thriving person, place, and planet. And so our priorities are, creating solutions for people, creating a thriving cities and communities, and planetary health. Those really speak to having impact on the world across those scales of people, place, and planet. And they talk about transforming the world. And I think that's really the heart of who we are as applied scientists. We're about transforming the world. And but the second set of priorities that we set ourselves are, and these are, being the university for the future, preparing our students and ourselves for the future of work, and developing inclusive leaders who have skills in respectful engagement, are really around transforming ourselves. And so there's a recognition that in order to have impact on the world or to transform the world, we need to start by transforming ourselves. And so those support our mission, right, which is of shaping the leaders and the professions that shape the world. And so there's this very much this inside perspective around transforming ourselves in order to transform the world, and hence the name of the strategic plan, which is transforming tomorrow. And I think that really defines a little, quite a bit of who we are and what our personal and professional ambitions are as a faculty. And so it's been a fantastic visioning process, and like I said, I'm just very proud of where we ended up and the plan that we've developed.
That's cool. That's probably the best outlook I've ever seen on that work, right? Because it forces you to go inward. It forces you to really define what it is you value, and then to sometimes get in those conversations of conflicts of value and that sort of thing. So that's cool that you actually had a really good experience with that. That's awesome.
So this is more on what defines an engineer to you, James. When I come to my undergrad in engineering, I came out being that an engineer at a core is a problem solver. I could take any big problem, parse it into small pieces, and solve it, irrespective of what area I was in. What is it to you that you think is a core of being an engineer?
Yeah, and so I would say, and of course, there's lots of different definitions, and it's hard to be comprehensive and inclusive of everybody's perspective. But I think at the highest level, the heart of being an engineer is really around design, and which is honestly the process of creation. And so I've in presentations I've given to people in other venues is defining engineering as design plus science. So engineers create solutions, just like you said, Pam. It's around that creation, but it's a creative process of design. Create solutions that sometimes require them to make scientific discoveries and breakthroughs. And so it's that marriage of creative design with deep science that I think defines engineering. But I'd also want to say that there's some overriding concerns that engineers have as well across all the endeavors that we do, and one is public safety and public service. And so it's not just about creating solutions, but it's about holding safety first and creating safe solutions for society, and that's maybe not the discipline of engineering, but that's being a professional engineer, and that's the standard we have to hold ourselves in the profession that we've committed ourselves to be. It's also why professional integrity is just so important to the profession and to engineering. And I'd also say that that's why within the faculty, we hold academic integrity so important, and why it starts not when you graduate, but when you come into the faculty. And it's about professional standards, ensuring safety as we create and discover things. So
that's great, for sure.
Now, so with everything that's gone on for you over the past year or so, and this pursuit of the new strategic plan and all that, is like while still working to advance AppSci, what does a typical day look like for you now? Like how do you find yourself, meeting all the needs that are pulling on you in every different direction?
Yeah, I mean, of course, my work day / life has certainly changed. While we're in this, how does my day change? It's still very busy. I think that is, I think as everybody's, I've never actually talked to anybody who said they're not busy these days. Certainly busy. I start my day. I have a 7:15 standing Zoom meeting every day. I seldom get off of, so it's a lot of Zoom, as you can imagine. I seldom get off of, away from my computer until 5 or 6, and often it goes late. But what's really changed is the things that we don't have that opportunity, that I don't have that opportunity to do, which I just miss, which is things like, not having that chance meeting with the faculty and students. Everything is so planned, and so there's not that opportunity to hear, what's the exciting thing happening in somebody's lab, or what is exciting to the students. And so I miss that. I miss the opportunities to meet with our alumni, in all the alumni events and all the other, the other things I do. And so I don't get that opportunity to, kind of share and celebrate, with the alumni. And I don't get the opportunity to really participate in the same way in all of the ceremonies and celebrations that we do to celebrate our successes and celebrate our excellence and celebrate the progress made by our students. And so, I think those are ways that it's really changed for me in a way that makes me really look forward to a time when we can all get back onto campus and get back to the face-to-face personal, the personal engagement opportunities that we would have. So.
But I must say your commute is much better, though, James. I would
yeah, I took my car insurance lapsed in May. I haven't even insured my car. It's
yeah.
But I tell you, it'd be nice to come back to campus.
Sure.
You just made a really good point too that I haven't heard anybody else make, is how scheduled and battened down our lives are right now. Like this missing spontaneity is something I hadn't considered before. But you're exactly right. There's no novelty, right? It's that's very, very interesting.
Yeah, it makes being innovative that much more challenging.
Absolutely. Yeah. You've been a big supporter and champion for the school of BME, and in your mind, why did UBC? Why was it time to have a dedicated biomedical engineering program here?
Why was it time? I think actually one of the great things about having a biomedical engineering school now is, and honestly, maybe being even one of the last, institutions to create a biomedical engineering, is it gives us an opportunity to have one of the most state-of-the-art and current biomedical schools of biomedical engineering. And our particular school is really based, it comes from a long history, but it's really based in fundamental biology and deep science at the interface between medicine and engineering. That's sort of deep science, fundamental biology is where I think much of the space for breakthroughs and innovation are. And we're recruiting so many excellent people right in that space to create a critical mass, and to create a school unlike any other school that has that concentration of people working in truly breakthrough, innovative areas that are that are, clearly, have an opportunity to have tremendous impact on individual people and society in general. So I think, that's one of the great opportunities that we have, and it's so nice to, see that vision that Peter Zandstrom has really championed, and that people have rallied around, and to see his ability to really recruit people to work in that space. And so it's just a fantastic time to be building and growing a school for biomedical engineering.
Sure. When you talk about the like Peter Zandstrom's leadership, I want to shift the conversation a little bit to leadership. So you have a good support team in your dean's office, and you have a lot of moving parts that you always have to take, a 30,000-foot view of. How do you find the time to do that, especially from a distance? And do you have a philosophy on leadership?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I was to have a philosophy on leadership, first I would just hope that people would see me as dedicated to collegial governance. I think that's extremely important within a university. Not only committed to it, I hope they would see me as practicing that and effective in that way. I would hope people would see me as consultative, open-minded, receptive. But really the culture in the dean's office, let's say at the faculty, really comes from the amazing team that's been put in place. And so we have an absolutely outstanding team of unit heads and directors. So the directors of the schools and the heads of all the different engineering departments, they're all collaborative and supportive of each other. And again, that's only been amplified during the pandemic. Plus, we have an outstanding group of associate deans and staff directors, across all the different portfolios in the dean's office. And it really comes down to the people, and the people have been fantastic and supportive and collaborative, and they are what definitely makes it fun for me to, well, as I used to say, come to work every day, but let's say Zoom to work every day.
You hit an interesting point, James, about collaboration. When I went through undergrad engineering, that was kind of weaved into our DNA, either on purpose or intrinsic or through osmosis. And it's refreshing to see now faculty that were engineering trained maintain that. So the heads and all of them are engineers by training across the board. I mean, we have School of Nursing and whatnot, but it's really interesting that that's also a key aspect of being an engineer, I think, is your collaborative mindset. Just shifting again to, do you find time to do any research, and what do you miss about it, and just maybe the area that you focused on before taking on the bioproducts products and whatnot? What really drove you to that area?
Yeah, so well, I can say that I still do some research, but I have to say that it's been largely curtailed, right? I used to have a much larger group than I do now. What I have done is I've shifted much of my research to be done more by staff and by co-op students. And part of that is just a reflection of the amount of time and mentorship that master's and PhD students deserve. I mean, they really do deserve to have a significant amount of time and timely, sort of timely response by their supervisors. And I just wasn't confident that I would be able to provide that level of, mentorship, especially as I really threw myself into the position of dean. But I do have a core group of colleagues that I collaborate with. I do have a number of really outstanding technical and research staff who have been pushing ahead a number of really, I think, are really interesting research paths. And so, yeah, I feel grateful for them to allow me to be able to supervise them, and while I'm still a dean. But and I guess I'd also say, I've been really thrilled with where that research area has gone at UBC. You know, I've been a huge proponent of the forest bioproducts sector, and was so happy to see our Canadian Excellence Research Chair in forest bioproducts. Well, first of all, having the opportunity to recruit Orlando Rojas, who is our CERC chair to UBC, and to see the success of that group, becoming the Global Research Excellence Cluster or Institute at UBC over the last few years, and see the number of really excellent hires that we've been able to make in that space. And so it's, I would just say that whole area has taken on a new level of importance, especially with, BC is home to such an active and important forest resource. And of course, I think there's a real opportunity for us to make impact on all of the vibrant rural communities that are, work very closely with that forest resource. So
Great.
Now, we talked briefly before we started this about you being from Kamloops, and your background is the Shuswap. How often do you get to find the time to go up there and like enjoy the scenery?
Honestly, I do. This is the place I do love to go. It is. I have to say, it's. And I spend as much of my holiday time as I absolutely can on that lake, and so I definitely spend quite a bit of time there. Well, let's put it this way: if I take holidays, I don't go anywhere else.
That's good. We heard that you spend part of your holiday break building a full-size retro video arcade. Would love to hear a little bit more. And what's your favorite sort of old school arcade game?
Yeah. Okay. So that is true. I have to say, it was my daughter is a third year. Pardon me. She's going into her fourth year of mechanical engineering, as I mentioned before. And so we were looking for something to design and build over the Christmas break, and so we built a full-sized retro arcade game, fresh with retro, Raspberry Pi and all the old buttons and joysticks and the emulator software. Anyways, it was fantastic. I would say sort of electrical. Woodworking electrical computer woodworking project, and we've not only enjoyed building that over the holidays. It was a lot of fun, but I've also enjoyed reliving a bit of my 1980s youth, playing things like Donkey Kong and Asteroids, and what's another one? I was actually very good as a teenager playing a game called Star Castle. So I don't know if
it's fantastic.
But yeah. So that's been a lot of fun.
I think you need to put an arcade system in the dean's office once everyone's back. I think liven up the place.
Well, you'll notice at the Engineering Student Center, they've made a couple that are resident in the ESC, and so that was a bit of my inspiration. So
that's cool. Yeah.
And maybe last one, James, thank you again for all your time you've put for us. Just maybe a great piece of advice that you received in the past, what would that be?
Yeah, I think, I think it's really around taking more risk. Engineers are really trained to be conservative. It's often in their nature. It's certainly in my nature. I recognize I'm naturally conservative. And so I also recognize that I need to consider that I'm naturally risk adverse as I make decisions. And so I'm always, trying to think, should I take more risk? How do I push myself to be a little bit less comfortable with this decision? And so, that's my advice is, take a little bit more risk.
That's excellent advice. Excellent advice. Okay, if we have time for one more, I just want to ask you, what do you have going on right now? Any big initiatives or projects that you're leading that you're really excited about and you want people to get excited about too?
Well, I mean, I think, I think there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about. One is the development and design and construction of the building that will house the School of Biomedical Engineering, right? I mean, that is going to be an amazing place, and it's going to be, it's going to really center the school. It's going to be in a high-profile place. It's going to be spectacular. I have to say, I'm just exceptionally excited about that opportunity, and I know that that's also at the highest priority of the school and, not only the school but of the university. So that's exciting. I would also, the other thing I'm really excited about too is an opportunity beyond the School of Biomedical Engineering is to replace the Frank Forward building. And we have some really big dreams around creating a building we call Applied One. And it's a bit of a play on words. It's not, maybe Applied One means an opportunity to bring the faculty together to create, kind of one faculty. Maybe also a little play on words, like, maybe in the future there'll be an Applied 2 or 3 out there. But the idea is a place to create a new home for architecture and a new home for community and regional planning, our School of Community and Regional Planning, and a new home for engineering in a place that would be to bring together, really diverse approaches to design. Architects bring a very different approach to design than engineers do, to bring a different approaches to community engagement and to different approaches to complex systems and analysis of complex systems, to our professions, right? The professions that we represent, and with the opportunity to create entirely new disciplines. Again, being those interfaces of disciplines are really rich for innovation and impact across the scales of people, place, and planet. And so I see that building too as really another exciting opportunity. We've been just working, the building has actually been a catalyst for how we will work together in a different way, in a much more integrated disciplinary way that will really, help us achieve our strategic plan and help us achieve our vision of transforming tomorrow. And so I think we've already started that, through our discussions in the strategic plan, our discussions around Applied One, our discussions around academic renewal. We've already started down that path of integrating our disciplines and being more collaborative and looking for rich areas of innovation. And in fact, it's already, those conversations themselves have already started to change who we are. And
I just want to say right now, I want to argue vociferously for keeping that name. Applied One is an excellent name for that building and for encompassing the strategic plan. So I'm just going to argue for that, and I will. Yeah, that's all. Making my case right there.
Great, appreciate that. Not everybody loves the name, but it's great to hear you that it resonates with you.
Good.
Thank you again, James, so much. It's very engaging and exciting to learn more about yourself and your vision as dean, and we're very fortunate that you're part of the school and championing it, and it was, again, a pleasure getting to know you a bit more.
Yeah, really my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, James.
Take care now.